Florentino Perez has been re-elected as president of Real Madrid, but Gab, the margin of victory means many are seeing this as a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah, that's right. It was interesting, the Catalan press writing, Florentino wins, but Riquelme also wins. The Madrid press taking more just like, it's a wake-up call to Florentino. Margin of victory was about 2-1. He got around 66% of the votes. A lot of people expected a blowout. Turnout, if you're wondering why it was relatively low, it often is, which seems weird to me when you dedicate so much of your life to Real Madrid. Why wouldn't you go out and vote, especially when you have an actual stark choice?
Yeah, exactly.
And the right to do it. I think Riquelme will be emboldened in the long term. For Florentino, obviously he regrets calling these elections because he's wasted time with this. But in the meantime, he's been working away. And in fact, as we saw, he promised a big signing, and presto, everyone talks about them bidding. He's talking about the bidding for Julien Alvarez, which, by the way, is where Barcelona were not that long ago. I think the last time we did the show before the pre-records, we talked about Barcelona bidding for Julien Alvarez and Atletico Madrid's snarky responses on social media. Well, hey, now it's Real Madrid, and their snarky responses on social media.
Yeah, and let's not make any mistake here. The player and that big offer of 150 million euros that Florentino teased in the days before was not for Julien Alvarez. It was for Mikel Olise or for Vitinha. But Florentino knew very well that those two were going to be rejected straight away, that PSG or Bayern Munich or even the two players would not even look into it because they're never going to move this summer, even not to Real Madrid. So he thought, okay, let's do something a little bit different. They put out this very weird statement from a Real Madrid point of view. Thank you Atletico for being so nice and stuff. To what then Atletico rebunked completely, and rightly so. So I thought it was a bit embarrassing from a Real Madrid and Florentino Perez point of view when this was done on, when was it, on Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday, I think it was. Because I think they just made a fool of themselves, really, and him of himself.
I think if Julien Alvarez, and of course Atleti have said that his clausula is 500 million, you can pay that if you want him, otherwise shut up. If he does end up going to Barcelona, because let's face it, we live in the real world, right? Yeah. And if he offers high enough, the man is 27 years old. It makes sense at a certain number that's not 500 million for him to go. But if Barcelona end up bidding more than what Real Madrid's was 130, 140 million, then people are going to praise Florentino for bidding him up, see?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Julien Alvarez is not worth nowhere near 150 million euros anywhere from nobody.
I don't think he's, at his age and with his profile, I don't think he's worth half that, personally. But that's just me.
At least now, Jose Mourinho's return to the Bernabeu is official, Gab.
That's right. And, of course, the hilarious part in all this is that it's going to cost Real Madrid 15 million, which is his release clause from Barcelona, from Benfica, instead of the 4 million because that clause lapsed. Why did the clause lapse? The clause lapsed because somebody around Madrid, whose name might be Florentino Perez, decided to run for re-election.
That's an expensive re-election.
Well, he's thinking, I'm going to run unopposed again and we can wrap this up and we'll only pay 4 million. Guys, this is 11 million is a lot of money difference, and this is not necessary. Looking at this, I have a piece up on this. I'm okay with Jose Mourinho as Real Madrid coach. I think short term, in terms of addressing, I think some of the club's biggest problems, Jules, the lack of cohesion, the discipline, he can fix that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you're right. That for that, it would work. For the rest, for the football, even for the trophies, for the result, I'm not sure. I'm really happy to see it and how it pans out, because I think it's going to be box office, Hollywood, popcorn, anything you want, for sure. And I think we could have a very eventful season with him at the helm. But you're right. I think there's some positives with his appointment and some skepticism as well.
I think some of the biggest positives are going to be he's going to have, at least initially, Florentino's 100% backing, which is something that neither Arbeloa nor Xabi Alonso nor Carletto, at least at first and towards the end, had from the club. By the way, speaking of Florentino, it's all Florentino all the time. He's wasting no time. Ibrahima Konate on a free transfer from Liverpool. Denzel Dumfries for his 20 million release clause. They sound like bargains to me, Jules.
Not sure if they're bargains. I mean, Dumfries is 30. He's not a right back. I don't know where you play him in this team, or you already have Trent Alexander-Arnold, a right back, who is not really a right back either. For me, the Dumfries deal doesn't really make much sense. I know
he's a totally different profile than than Trent.
Well, yeah, but he's still not a right back.
He's an attacking right back.
Well, no, he's a
he's a wing back. That's
he's
what
a
you're
wing
gonna
back,
say.
exactly. He's a right wing back. That's what I meant. More than anything else, I was even going to say like a right winger, to be fair. But so I'm not sure where he fits really in that. But it'd be interesting for Konate. They liked him before. They thought he was going to renew at Liverpool. In the end, he didn't renew at Liverpool.
Could this be why he didn't renew at Liverpool?
No, because he wanted to renew at Liverpool. They were really close to an agreement, and then things changed a little bit. And Real Madrid,
Real Madrid offering more money changed?
No.
Who can we blame here? There's got to be a reason, right?
No.
What changed?
Well, no, I think from the agreement that they were quite close between Liverpool and Konate a couple of months ago, for example, I think some of the demands then changed slightly, and Liverpool, I don't think, were ready to offer him what they had kind of tabled on earlier, and that was the thing. Real Madrid just picked him up after that because he was not going to extend at Liverpool. That's the only reason. And I think now they've stepped up their chase of Bernardo Silva as well, who's also wanted by Atletico Madrid and by Barcelona. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up at Real Madrid with Mourinho.
I think Bernardo Silva would be a tremendous signing for him in terms of that midfield leadership role, calm, being that positive influence.
I agree. I think it will happen.
Konate's coming off the worst season of his career, or certainly of his recent career, and he is 27 years old. He's not a child anymore. I think that's just something to be mindful of, but they need some older leadership to help Hyson and possibly Asensio if he sticks around to help them along.
And Benfica, Gab, have already their replacement as well.
That's right. Marco Silva signing a 2-year deal. He's obviously coached Sporting before. I'm glad he gets a big Champions League type club again after all these years at Fulham. It feels like for so long we've been saying, oh, look, isn't he really good? He's ready to jump to a big Premier League club. Big Premier League clubs eventually saying, no, you know what? Screw this. I'm going back to Portugal.
I agree.
Nottingham Forest have reportedly rejected a £120 million bid from Manchester City for Elliot Anderson. Jules, how much higher is this going to go? This sounds like a lot of money.
I mean, he can't go higher because he's not even worth the 120 million anyway. I don't know how Forest have rejected that, if it's true. I still cannot believe this is true, really. If you're Elliot Anderson right now and your current club, if it's true, reject that kind of money, you should be really annoyed. You should be really annoyed because there's no release clause in his contract. Okay, sure, maybe. But even you as a player, with your entourage, with your agent, you know that 120 million is far above what you are really worth in now in your valuation. So Forest should not reject that kind of money if that offer actually really happens.
You know who's even more annoyed about this? Newcastle United, frankly, in this whole thing. But it is funny, though, because you look at who's more expensive in terms of midfielders. Obviously, Vert's a different profile, more of a forward. But in terms of all-around midfielders, this would already be a world record, or am I forgetting somebody?
No, Rice and Caicedo.
Bellingham and Caicedo.
Yeah,
that's
the
your competition.
example. What makes you think that he's worth 20 more million than Declan Rice when he had that move from West Ham to Arsenal, for example?
But maybe he's better on the ball than Declan Rice.
No, he's not the player that Declan Rice even was when he left West Ham to Arsenal. Fabrizio Romano reports that Damian Comolli is out as the Juventus CEO, Gab.
That's right. This has been bubbling under for some time, paying the price for Luis Openda, for Jonathan David. Look, I'm not the world's biggest Comolli fan, but you can't kick him out after 1 year, I think, in this way. If you know kind of under the hood what happened, I think he did well to bring in Spalletti, who in some ways saved the season. I don't quite know where they're going next. I've heard of Carnevali, who doesn't quite fill me with a lot of hope if I were a Juve fan. It's certainly, I think, a hefty price to pay for Damian. Come on, like I said, not perfect.
Yeah.
But you can't just go from 1 year to the next. This isn't like firing coaches, frankly. No. Kieran McKenna is leaving Ipswich Town after leading them back to promotion in the Premier League. Joe, it's kind of a weird thing to do, no?
I'm not sure, Gab, because I think he's expecting now a bigger job, maybe the Fulham job, for example, although he was not their first choice, but he's on the short list. And he's had that promotion with Ipswich before. They went straight back down. That was a good experience for him, sure. But I think there's a point where maybe he felt like, he could get something a bit bigger, better, where you don't actually fight to stay up, but you fight for something else, like probably a team like Fulham will offer him. So I can see it. If he doesn't get a club, then, okay, that's a bit weird. Yeah. But I think he would get something. Marco Senesi has joined Tottenham on a free transfer, Gab, and they're also being linked with Brighton centre-back Jean-Paul Van Heek.
Yeah, I mean, how many center backs do you need? Let's just remind ourselves here, right? We have Cuti Romero, we have Mickey van de Ven, we have Radu Dragusin, we have Kevin Danzo, we have Marco Senesi now, we have Yuta Takai, we have Vuskovic, and of course Ben Davies, who extended for another year. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the plan is. But hey, I guess there's different ways to skin a cat, right?
Yeah, exactly, Gab. Exactly.
Now, thanks for tuning in to the Gab and Juls Show, presented by Gusto. Gusto is your small business partner for payroll, benefits, and so much more. Get started for free at gusto.com. Juls, now that we're here, we got to come back.
Of course.
We're going to be back on Monday with plenty more World Cup stuff. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.